What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, back with our second video of 2023. So today's video is not going to be all that complicated. It's going to be nice, short and simple, very short and simple, should I say. But today we're just going to be talking over mid-cap mag. So obviously, before we get into it, one of the main things about starting up the channel this particular way this year is we're not really going to be aiming for the guys that have been playing for a while. We're more so going for the guys that are just getting in, the beginner side of airsoft, and basically just talking little tips and tricks and things like that, like for example mid-caps. So today let's talk about that. So as you can see right here in front of me is an M4 mid-cap, which is 140 round capacity, and it is loaded to its maximum capacity, which is 140 rounds. So if I do actually try and put a few extra rounds in here, might get like one or two, but then that's about as far as it's going to go. So not to worry, this is fully loaded. So that being said, this is the general rule of thumb for most mid-caps. You'll find majority of mid-caps out there are between 100 to 140 rounds, and obviously you do get your slightly bigger mid-caps are around 170 rounds, like the new ones from Aries, which I don't have here on the table at the moment, but they are sort of substantially bigger, and of course they do hold more rounds. However, people seem to understand, or people seem to think that obviously if this is a 140 round capacity mag, then it should take up to 140 rounds and it will be perfectly fine. There's not to say that that is incorrect. However, one thing that you will want to notice is that the spring that is inside mid-cap magazines, because obviously they do work off springs and not a wheel and sort of building up pressure and feeding the rounds through, this is completely working off a spring. And as you know, with springs, if you compress and decompress and compress and decompress, eventually they are going to start losing their springiness as such. So that's going to give you feed issues amongst other things, and it's just basically frustrating. And yeah, it's basically just the fast track to headaches if you are going to overcompress your springs. So general rule of thumb for most people out there using mid-caps, most people out there using mid-caps, you guys will be using speed loaders. I mean, I highly doubt any of you guys are actually sitting out there loading 140 rounds individually into your mags. If you are, jeez, your fingertips, guys. Wow. So anyway, that being said, most of you guys out there that are using mid-caps are going to be using speed loaders. Now, the most common speed loader out there, the favorite, is of course the Sidewinder, which is of course a fantastic speed loader. I will leave a link down in the description below for you guys to go and check these out. These are fantastic. These do hold about 1,000 rounds. So of course, general rule of thumb, if you load your mags to 100 rounds, you should be able to load 10 mags out of one of these if you load it to 100 rounds, which is actually a trick that most of us have actually learned nowadays. So the 100 round theory. So in one of these little speed loaders here, you will hold roughly 100 to 110 rounds roughly of BBs. So generally speaking, even though the mags are 140 round capacity, as you see there, generally speaking, you kind of don't want to go more than, let's say, one speed loader per mag. So let's just get this one loaded up and I'll show you guys the difference. Usually doesn't take this long, but as per usual, because I'm on camera and the pressure is there, of course it's going to be taking a little bit longer than normal. And oh my oath, that irritates me. But anyway, okay, so as you can see, the channels are still exactly the same. The channel still follows the same shape, the same line, everything is identical. However, if you have a look at the load capacity, it is substantially different. So yes, okay, you are missing out 100, well, you are missing 40 extra rounds, plus minus. However, your spring is sitting in a much more neutral position. So basically what we found over the years is that if you load your 140 round capacity mid-caps with one speed loader per magazine, you're going to get about 100 to 110 rounds in your mag, and this is of course going to leave your spring sitting nice and open. It's not going to overcompress, and therefore leaving your mag to survive a whole lot longer. And of course, your mags are going to last a whole lot longer. You're not going to be replacing mags every other 6 months or whatever the case may be. Your mags are going to survive a whole lot longer. You're going to have faster feeding, less feeding issues, less sticky mags. It's just all around the better way to go. And this basically applies to pretty much every other mid-cap out there. So basically, if say for example like this mag here, which is an RK mag, this holds 105 rounds. So if you really want to be safe, I would go at the 90 round mark, just to keep your spring nice and sort of open and not overly compressed. Same goes for pretty much every other mid-cap out there, whether it's MP5, ARP, any of these different platforms. Depending on what the round capacity is, generally go a little bit less than what it is actually rated for, and you will find that your mag is going to last a whole lot longer. And of course, you're going to have a better time overall with your mags, your BBs, and your game time, generally speaking. And I mean, let's be honest, this extra 40 rounds in a mag like here that is fully loaded in comparison to this one here with 100 to 110 rounds, guys, if this 40 rounds makes a big difference to you, you really need to start picking your targets a little bit better. I'm joking, of course, but trust me, you're not really going to notice much of a difference. The only real difference that you're really going to notice is that you're going to be reloading just a little bit more often. Not that that's too much of a big deal, because let's be honest, we're airsofters, we're here for realism. So, that being said, guys, as per usual, that pretty much brings this video down to a close. Like I said, nothing too fancy, short and simple and sweet. Just a little tip for you guys out there. Obviously, this isn't law. If you still prefer to run your mags fully loaded and you haven't had an issue with it up till now, so be it. Don't let me tell you how to do it. However, if you are having issues and maybe you haven't tried this, this might just solve your problem. So, that being said, guys, this video now is over. It is done. So, that being said, hit the follow button, hit the like button, stay tuned for our following videos, and we'll see you guys next week for our next video. As always, guys, stay classy, and above all, call your hits.